Storytime with Frog is the review of one woman's life who has lived the spectacle of FROG, or fully reliant on God. Not a storybook or Cinderella story, but in fact, the full history of ups and downs, joys and trials of life, the human condition, and this one woman's journey guided by her strength and faith in God. It's not all tulips and roses, but a beautiful rosebush has plenty of thorns. Life is designed to be this way, even when led by Him. Join us for Storytime with Frog with Veda McGregor and Rob Dalton.
This is Storytime with Frog. I am Rob Dalton. With me,
Veda McGregor.
She is the key focal point of our podcast, and she is here to talk about her journey through life, its highs and lows, its mountains and valleys, and above all else, her walk with Spirit, her walk with God, and all the angels that she has had in her life. Not just human angels, because they're out there too.
Yes,
there are people that influence us in a very positive way. But this is Storytime with Frog, and Frog is
fully rely on God.
Fully rely on God. F-R-O-G. So we're going to get into. We got the introduction on the last episode. And this time when we're meeting, we wanted to get into her family background. As a child, her foundational understanding of life, the unconditional acceptance and unconditional love of everything that she was in a family environment. But first I wanted to get into, this is not just a story about your life, but the theme through it is faith. Even if you don't know what that is, to live with it is still important. And that's kind of what you were doing all before the age of double digits, 10.
Yes.
It was just being in faith because it was normal, it was practiced, and it was encouraged.
Yeah, modeled. I didn't know life without it.
Yeah, yeah. It didn't have to be taught.
No, it just was.
You were in it. You were living it. I wanted to start the story with the mention of in the first episode we touched on heart skills.
Ah, yes.
Heart skills is a system of coping, learning, rehabbing, unraveling of our traumas in life, whether it's at a childhood, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, or just bad parenting, or being bullied. Whatever it is in life that helps us to get to the monstrosity of how complicated we are. Unraveling it is a process you call heart skills. You do classes almost once a month with people in general, but you also this runs through a venue called the Belief Center.
Yes.
Tell us about that real quick.
The Belief Center. Well, it's true to its name. The Belief Center is a place for you to come and check what your belief structure is.
To help you understand what it is within you. Yeah.
Yes. So, whatever it is, you come into the classes and you take a look at what your life experiences are and the effects of those life experiences, and we teach you tools and new ways of dealing with the effects that come from trauma.
Your life's experiences.
Yes.
I know I've been to a few and continue and want to continue to come back, but it's important for people to understand that, and I don't think I've said this yet, but we've talked about it. We all go through difficulties in life, the traumas. They are meant to impact us and to teach us. There's a lesson in those, but we've been formulated, trained, programmed to put it in a backpack, to take it with us, to make it define us. All those things we just can't let go of, and that's not its intention.
Yeah, because that makes sense, doesn't it? Let's take the most horrific things that happen to us and let's put them all in our backpack and let's take it with us everywhere we go.
And
relive that makes such sense.
And weave it into our the way we treat other people.
Yes.
And it makes us feel unworthy and all these negative things, and it
becomes our identity.
It becomes our identity,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
an occasion, an event.
Yeah, as you're learning, as you're meeting people, sometimes it's one of the first things you tell people. Sometimes,
yes.
I was abused as a child. Oh, well, okay.
Wow.
And all of a sudden,
nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. But the Belief Center is a I can't call it a facility. It's a system. It's an understanding of unraveling all of that.
Yeah.
And the process is heart skills.
It is.
And those have been you've been divinely guided into presenting those in a class format for people to work with. And
Yes.
I've seen it work really wonderful things with people. I can't call it a miracle because people process it at different times.
Well, we create our own miracles,
but
don't
we
we?
create our own. You're
Yeah.
right. But I wanted to tap on that, thebeliefcenter.org. It is a .org. It's nestled firmly in East Texas.
Yes.
But we will grow and we will expand.
Yes.
But it's something that you do and you're passionate about it. It gives you purpose in your
Yes.
everyday life. So
Yes.
I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
You were your faith is important to you. It defines you. People who really begin to get to know you beyond the classes understand that it's not just something you practice.
No, it's just who I am.
You live it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is you.
Yeah.
It is woven within you. I wanted to start with your first experience, maybe that you remember, with an angel.
Ah.
Your sister was involved. Your older sister.
Yes. So that would be, we've now left Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
We've come back to Fort Worth, Texas, and we are now at Lake Worth.
Okay.
And the adults are on the embankment and going into the lake, and my sister and I and some of the other kids are all playing in the water. My sister Angie was in charge of me. Well, I stepped off of a ledge somewhere, and down I went.
Like a small dock or something.
Something,
Yeah.
yes. Just we were in the water, and I could feel the ground, and then suddenly there was no ground underneath me. So now I am falling through this water, and as I'm looking up, I can see the sky getting further away. But there's cans and bottles and trash and stuff. I'm going past it. It's floating above me now, and I'm floating below it.
You're getting to the hard bottom.
I'm getting to the very,
Yeah,
very
right.
bottom of the lake, and now there's this gross, mossy, slimy, snotty kind of stuff.
Way
that
at
I'm
the bottom.
Yeah, now I'm sitting in it, but I'm sitting with my legs out in front of me in a seated position, and I see a little foot beyond my right foot and a little foot beyond my left foot, and I look to the side, and there's a wing on each one of my shoulders and a face, a head next to me,
Just
next
to
to
your
my
left,
head. Yes,
right.
just to my left. I do keep saying, yeah, it's definitely my left. I'm leaning over to the right. Yeah, it's right here. Can you see it? But I remember, my body remembers the struggle of not being able to breathe.
Right.
As apparently I'm floating to the bottom of the lake. But then there was that instantaneous shift from the struggle of not being able to breathe to breathing perfectly, almost as though I'm back in my mother's womb or something,
Okay.
because now I'm breathing in water, but I can breathe and I feel perfectly fine and I'm not panicked. I feel like I belong right where I'm sitting. Right where I'm sitting is perfect. I feel beautiful. I feel fabulous. But then the next thing I know, I'm upside down. I think I was upside down. My sister had found me. She could.
Right.
She went under the water and felt for me, and she could feel my hair, and reached down in there and grabbed my hair and pulled me up. And that at that point, the adults were coming out, and so all that ensued. And then they got the water out of my lungs. But
how old were you?
I was 2.
2. So you being held upside down by your feet at age of 2 is.
I did that when my daughter choked on a sweetheart, right? Don't we all do that as a parent? You got to grab them by their ankles and get that out of their throat. So I guess that's what they were doing, getting the water out of my lungs.
Yeah.
But I was perfectly comfortable and confident right where I was sitting.
There was no panic.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, I felt quite at home,
So
actually.
you were cared for and protected to
Yes.
a degree, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that was your first experience. Now
I found out later that position in the angelic realm is a rescue angel, and
yeah.
those are assigned to us in times that it's not our turn to go home to the heavenly realm, and so we have to be held until we're rescued. So that's where I got that term.
interim.
Yes.
Interim. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
They're out there.
They're very busy. They're very busy.
And again, it was just just a normal experience.
Absolutely
But
normal.
I wanted to bring up the fact that you didn't. It wasn't something you were going around when you were 3 saying I had an angel, because
No,
but
I didn't know that's what it was.
Right, but it was later in life that your
Yes.
sister helped you remember.
Yes, and I think I was late teens or 20. either 19 or 20. And we had a disagreement about something. And she turned around and whipped at me and said, I never should have pulled you out of that lake. And I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? What did you just say that again? And she said it again. And I was like, hold up a minute. I've had nightmares every day of my life. I need you to tell me what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And she proceeded to tell me.
She told you the rest of the story.
Yes, that I had drowned.
That you did not know or remember.
Yes, no. Well, no, it turned out okay. So why would they need to tell me the
Yeah.
story?
What was the drama?
You died. We brought you back. Everything's cool.
The trauma was on their side,
Exactly.
not yours.
I was fine. I was fine. Didn't have a problem in the world.
You work hard now at the beliefcenter.org. You live to serve. You serve well. You're a server. You're a servant of others. You facilitate healing. You get that example from your parents, your dad primarily. Well, tell me about your dad. What did he do?
Dad was my hero. He did 10 years in the Air Force. And Dad was a smaller stature guy. You remind me so much of my dad. It's really cool, and I appreciate that very much. But he was a mid-air refueler.
Oh, nice.
So he would take the refueling jet up there and get the boom operated
Extended,
over
right.
and attached, and so that's what he did for the military. And then he retired at 10 years and became a Dallas firefighter. Still serving, yes.
Yep.
And Daddy just had a heart for service, and he loved helping people in their darkest moments. He would come in, every third morning. He would come in from the fire station after his 24 hours on, and sit at the table with my sister and my mother and I, and he would tell stories about whatever had happened the night before. Well, I could always tell when it wasn't a good shift.
Okay.
I connected to his pain. Now, Daddy never brought the trauma into the house.
You were using your heart ears.
Absolutely.
And heart eyes.
I didn't know that I was supposed to use the other one, but you're right.
I get it. Yeah, it was natural. All right.
It was natural. So I attached to his sadness and those feelings that he had. But I could always tell that he shook that stuff off outside before he walked in the house. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he touched a tree, a bush. I don't know if he touched anything, but it was as though he would do something between the fire station and home that would get him set up to be home with his family now. Yes, instead of that. Yeah. So I could tell when he'd had a tough shift. The other girls, they couldn't, but I could. And that in and of itself made me feel special because they didn't connect to that like I did. So I would be extra gentle, with Daddy. I'd pour him a second cup of coffee, just something to be kind, something to show kindness. Yeah. But that was Daddy. He's very, very much a hero, very much a caring for other people, and especially people that are that society depicts as disposable, whether it be special needs people that are different, retarded people, just whatever, people of a different color, people, whatever, it didn't matter what it was. Daddy was always drawn to people who were different.
The underdog.
Yes. Yeah. And that's just who he was.
The underdog.
Yes, very much so. And I am the same way. So Daddy was always, when we were serving, like through the church, we would go and plan all year long and collect our quarters and nickels and dimes and save from our what do you call it when you get allowance?
Okay.
They don't even use that word anymore, do they? Right. An allowance at home? Do they have that? No, just here's some money. No. But we would save all year because our church adopted an orphanage, a couple of them over the years. And so we would save up money throughout the year to buy them really nice special things that ordinarily they wouldn't be able to acquire. And so we got all that from Daddy's example. Daddy loved
give and serve.
Loved
share,
to give and serve.
Share.
Because his mentality was, if we have it, we will share it.
Yeah.
That's just the
way
you
serve,
you live.
as an EMT firefighter, you serve the whole community.
Yes, absolutely.
And
and more so in between the fires, you know.
Right.
Yeah, because that's when you got to know your community.
Yep. And you were born in the early '60s, and it was in Texas,
yes,
rural Texas,
yes,
at the time.
Yeah,
Dallas Fort Worth was not what it is today.
No, Duncanville had one traffic light, a Bonanza, a grocery store, and did I say an Exxon?
Not yet.
And an Exxon.
You regular plumbing wasn't into thing. How'd you learn about snakes?
I don't want to talk about snakes. No. Well,
just the one.
Just that one. Well, I do not like snakes. My grandparents lived in a cabin that did not have running water. They had an outhouse.
It wasn't a resort cabin.
No.
It was where they lived.
Let's just say this was not an Airbnb. Wink, wink. No, in fact, it was quite a distance from the house to the little tiny outhouse way out back.
Yeah.
So they had a little potty underneath the bed. So you didn't have to go all the way to that. Well, but if you had to do the number 2 instead of the number 1, you really wanted to get to that outhouse. Well, so I had to go to the outhouse. And I went out there, and there was a snake in there, and I almost died. Well, later on, that's backtracking. I was a little bitty girl there. Then, at my grandmother's house, she farmed strawberries. Well, if you knew my Granny Fletcher, who was 4'11", and she loved everybody, Granny was talking to Jesus 24 hours a day, even when she slept. I'm certain of it. I'm just certain of it. But she would. I would always want to go out there with her to farm the strawberries because I would get some of those strawberries if I would help her farm it.
Immediate reward.
Cause and effect. I loved it. So I was out there, and oh my goodness, there was a snake in her strawberries.
In the strawberries.
I'd never seen my grandmother upset. She was mad. She went after that snake like it was Satan himself. I'm not kidding. She pulled that hoe up, and my granny went after that snake. Yeah. She chopped that head off twice.
Twice. Just to make sure.
She did. And I was like, Granny, are you okay? And she was like, yes, darling. But if you're going to keep a healthy garden, you have to keep the vermin out. And the vermin include snakes because they'll eat everything. They'll eat your chickens. They'll eat your chicken eggs. They'll eat my strawberries. They'll go out, and she started naming all this. Well, I just was liking snakes less and less and less the more she talked. But to see my granny, that I had only experienced her as a passive person, go hoe that snake until that head was dead twice. She became my hero that day, that she slayed that mean, crazy snake, and I got to eat a lot more strawberries that day because she got to tell a story. So that was my 2 little snake stories.
Your dad was your hero. He was an EMT. You were close to Grandma and Grandpa.
Yes.
Growing up. And his parents were important to you. Now, you had the story about Grandma and her strawberries and the snake, but you were fond of your grandpa too. He liked his allowance.
He does like allowance. He likes to give us allowance. Yes, he does. And Papa was, of course, the same man that raised my father is not the man that was my grandfather, my Papa.
Yes, dads are different.
It's kind of cool, isn't it?
Same person.
Oh yes. Yeah. But not really.
Really.
No, but notorious. Papa was always notorious for collecting us all in his old pickup truck. And out in Maydale, Texas, if you drive faster over the railroad tracks, then everybody comes up out of the bed of the truck. And that was always the goal, was to make sure that all butts came up out of the back of the truck, just so that they
got to get a little air.
Wee! Yeah. So we wanted to go get the wee factor, and so we did. Went to the general store there in Maydale, and and Papa would always slip us some coins. Every grandkid got a coin, and Yahoos and a moon pie. Now that was a righteous snack at Granny's house. So he'd give us money, and we'd go get our snacks, and then go back to the house.
Get back in the truck.
Get back in the house.
Yeah.
Whee! Over the railroad track. It was so much fun. And this one particular time, he was just like all the others, I thought. We rolled back into the house. Well, my dad comes walking out of the house, and he's got that look about him. Well, when Daddy has a look about him, he's got a a bug under his bonnet and something's about to happen. So I thought, oh, it can't be me. I didn't do anything. It can't be me. Well, he came out and all of his kids bailed out of the truck, and Papa's getting out of the truck, and Daddy comes around there, and he said, now, Dad, you know, you don't need to be giving these kids this money and bringing them back with all this trash food and all this candy and stuff. You know that's not good. My Papa looked at my dad like he had 3 heads and said, son, I don't know who you think you are, but those are my grandchildren. And if I want to give them coins and buy them candy, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give them coins and I'm going to buy them candy. So, there you go. Well, I was waiting to see what my dad was going to do because I thought, this is the first time I've ever seen my dad confronted by anybody. Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And my dad literally just kind of dropped his head a little bit, and I could tell he's letting it sink in because he's not happy. He's red-faced. Yeah. He's red-faced. Yeah. He's red-faced. Yeah. And Daddy just flipped a U-E and walked right towards the house, went back the stairs and inside the house.
He kind of said, okay, Dad.
That's basically what he said without actually saying it. But
he went from your dad to someone's son.
Yes, he did. And you know what? I don't think he liked it. Yeah, I don't think he liked it. It looked like we was all going to die that day.
He hasn't been there in a while.
No.
He had to try that back on. Yeah.
Ooh. But yeah, so that was Daddy. Daddy's come to Jesus meeting with Papa.
Just reminded.
I was so happy. I was so proud. I was so proud of my Papa.
Somebody fought for you.
I know. Yeah. That was so cool.
Yep.
I like that.
Very cool. And your grandma, your granny and your mom were both good cooks. They taught you the language of food, the love language of food.
Yes, yes.
They poured a little bit of love in everything they made.
Everything, and man, you can really taste the difference.
Yep.
Yes.
You can. It's fun to learn from that generation because there really was scratch.
Yeah. They made a whole lot out of a whole little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And creativity and the potlucks and just
both of my
what's for dinner?
Parents
I don't know. Let me see
sharecroppers.
Let me see what's in the pantry, and then they make something.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Couldn't make a list and run down to Walmart.
Oh my
or
gosh!
something. You had
what
to
in the world was that? No, they walked out the back door and went, well, I think there's a couple more potatoes in the ground over there. Go grab those, and I think I see some carrots and maybe a couple heads of lettuce. But that's how they shopped.
Yeah,
that is how they shopped.
Yeah.
And and neighbors, somebody would do a cow or a hog, and then neighbors shared with neighbors.
They did. Yep. And then as you grew, you and your sister both, as they got older, school became more. You were more active in school. You started seeing the experience and latchkey kids. You had. I saw a note where we were talking about a daycare at your granny's.
Oh yes, going to my maternal grandmother.
Because the first time you experienced true heartache was when your mother left you.
My body will never forget that moment.
Abandoned you.
Totally abandoned me right there in my shoes with people looking. Especially me. I was looking. It was horrible. That's a horrible thing to put a child through. And I know that a lot of parents, I'm a parent, and I know that I had to let my daughter go to daycare.
Yeah.
I mean, I chose to let my daughter go to daycare. I just knew that there was more to me than being a mom.
Yeah. Well, you have to stay in tune with that.
Yeah, yeah. But, going to daycare was horrible because I'd never been away from my mom before. And she was going back to work. And back in the early 60s, women stayed home and they birthed them babies and they toted that barge and washed them dishes, whatever, the whole thing.
We've seen the cleavers.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, those are my people. Yeah. Those are my people. Yeah, those are my people.
But your first heartbreak was mom just dropping you off and leaving.
Yeah.
All those strangers.
Literally, they had to peel me off of my mother. I had my legs and my arms wrapped around her, and they took my sister, because my sister was older, and so she was on her legs. I was not on my legs. And they pulled her away. Some lady come out and pulled her away. Yeah. Well, now I'm there, just me and my mom. My sister screaming, going down a hall, and I'm trying to hold on to my mother.
You're knowing you're next.
I am going down the tube right here. And they literally peeled me off of her, and I watched her walk out that door. Oh, my gosh. I didn't know how I was going to survive that feeling.
But then she came back.
Yeah, but it was forever. It was forever.
All day.
It was forever. It was. And it turned out there was some pretty cool kids there, and I really liked my teacher and stuff. But still, it was horrible. It was the worst thing ever to happen to me, ever.
Then you ended up, your maternal grandmother ended up hosting.
Yes. Because we hated daycare.
Yeah.
And at the Trinity River, the bottom of the Trinity River.
Okay.
Which is out off of Weisenberger. Off of Spur 408 Loop 12, that area. And that's where my maternal grandmother lived.
Okay.
Yep.
But you had cousins that used to come over.
Oh, yes.
It turned into a regular thing.
It sure did. Yeah. It sure did. And
again, it's the expansion of the family.
Yes.
And the love and acceptance of everybody that you were exposed to.
Yes.
That was your foundation.
It was, yeah.
And then you started going to school, turned into latchkey kids, you and your sister.
Yep. We were cooking the meals 5 days a week, for dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Homework.
Yes. I didn't really have to do a lot of homework.
But your sister, you said, was taught you. You were at school all day, and then you would come home to school too.
God, she was annoying. But yes, because she only wanted to be a mom and a teacher. That's all my sister ever wanted to be, was a mom and a teacher. Well, obviously,
she was a mom to you.
She was a mom to me.
Yep.
And which I absolutely treasure, of course. But then, yes, I was her student after I came home from being a student all day long at school. And then I was her student until it was time to get dinner together and on the table, which seemed like, again, forever. But it is kind of funny. She was very, very instrumental in me progressing so early in life with reading and writing and math and all the things, and just the thinking process,
You get into school, you start learning to read, start learning to, and I say the intelligence, but the ability to fit right in and do what's expected came natural.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Very little study.
Everybody loved me, right? Like I loved them.
Yeah. You get what you receive what you give.
Yeah.
And it was easy to make friends with people, but you began to see other people that weren't living the life you led.
Yeah, I had one particular incident that happened on the playground of my first grade year.
Okay.
That really took me off center. I went out on the playground at recess, and it was just right after the school year started. And for the most part, I knew everybody in my class. Because, we're together at church and other things.
Small town.
Community, small town.
Knew
everybody,
right.
yeah. Well, there was one young boy that I didn't know. And so out on the playground, I went up and said, hi. My name is Veda. Who are you? And he told me his name. And then I leaned in for a hug. And he put his arms up and kind of pushed me.
As if to say no, thank you.
As if to say no. Well, I had not met with conflict, really, at that juncture. And I experienced rejection, I believe, for the very first time at 7.
Yeah.
Did not know that could happen.
Right, it wasn't real.
But my response was I pushed him back.
Right.
But he didn't stay upright on his feet. He fell on his hiney. And for that, I felt like a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
Because now I've hurt him. I mean, he wasn't injured, but, I hurt him. I hurt his feelings. Because I pushed him and he fell down. That's embarrassing. And I felt horrible about it. Rejection was not good for Veda at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And then I felt bad about what I did in reaction to that. I became quite mindful of how I treated other people.
Sure.
Because I didn't know that was possible. Did not know that was possible.
Right. Not only the rejection.
I didn't know rejection was possible, and I didn't know that I could react.
I was going to say
like that, because that's not a response. That's a reaction.
Yeah. So it was.
There was no thought to it. Response indicates that there's thought. Reaction is nothing but involuntary.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
React. So it was an aha moment for you.
Very much so. It was another learning opportunity, and boy, did I learn what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And there is, at this juncture of my life, Rob, I find greater value in what not to do than what to do anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even today.
I like closed doors a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it makes the open doors a lot quicker to get through.
Yeah.
So if those will just shut. Just show me what's shut, and then I can keep moving.
Yep.
So I greatly appreciate what not to do.
You find it easy to make friends because of your trust in others.
Yes.
Your ability to be vulnerable and friendly and kind without judgment, because that's how you were raised.
Yeah.
And you accepted everybody at face value, and you had learned to greet, speak, listen, and see with your heart.
Yes.
That was your decoder.
Yes.
But here we are.
Everything came through that.
Everything came through that.
Yes.
But then you're getting into school, you're meeting all these other people, and that's where the the survival comes in, and the brain starts kicking in, and you start learning those real life lessons. But those were hard for you to adapt.
Very hard. Very hard.
Yeah.
Rejection is difficult, and I didn't get here with the mentality that I'm supposed to fit in.
Yeah.
I don't even understand the concept of fitting in. What is that? We all fit.
Right, we're all here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're here, that means we fit. So even that concept is just really foreign.
Well, you as we wrap up, there's a story I wanted to bring up. You were sitting next to your in school, as we often do, probably still do, sitting in alphabetical order, and you began to meet other people that didn't match you in your appearance, and you began to see more diversity.
Oh yes, I loved it.
And you and I was raised the same way where I'm from. Color wasn't a big thing. Our parents thought it was.
But I didn't know it was supposed to be.
Right,
I didn't get that message.
So one of your first friends was sitting next to you alphabetically.
Yes.
And she became a best friend of yours.
Very best friend. Yes, she did very much. And oh my gosh, her hair. I loved her hair. I had no body in my hair whatsoever. She had nothing except waves all the way down past her back. Oh my gosh, it just beautiful. I love this girl. Loved her.
She ended up being a best friend.
Yes, very best friend.
Joined at the hip.
Everything we did. Yes, absolutely. I didn't go to the bathroom without her, and vice versa. We just didn't do that. You had to go to the bathroom with Buddy. You had to have a buddy, and she was definitely my good buddy. And I wasn't one to venture outside of my home and go stay at other places, with other people.
Right.
I felt quite unsafe at other people's houses, like going after church or whatever, and then meeting them back up for choir practice or whatever, because the adults in the house acted different than the adults in my house acted.
Ah, yes.
So I didn't feel extremely safe, because when a parent yells, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. It was new for you.
I didn't get yelled at. I didn't get condemned. I didn't get chastised. I didn't.
It wasn't even about you.
No.
It was their tone and volume.
Yes.
But you still picked up on it.
Yes. And that was scary for me. So, I just wasn't one to stay at anybody's. But I really, 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 really wanted to go to her house. I really wanted to go to her house after school. So my mom said, okay, well, I will meet her mom, and I'll get her phone number, and we'll see. So they ended up working it out where I could ride home on the bus with her, because she rode the bus home. So I rode home on the bus with her. Well, that was scary. That was scary to be on a bus.
Yeah.
They don't have any seatbelts on a bus. So I was scared to be on the bus, and I was scared going to a house that wasn't my house.
Yours, right?
But it was really, really nice. It was really nice, and her mom came home. I'm sorry, her mom was home when we got there, where my mom wasn't home when I got home from school, but her mom was, which I was very excited about. So, we played and hung out and everything, and I think she did makeup on me or something. People love to put makeup on me. Between my sister and my friends, yes, I was the little dummy, the test dummy there. But and then I went home, and something happened. My head began to itch and burn and itch, and it turned out I had shared her hairbrush. And I had contracted lice.
Yeah.
Which is very common for all you parents.
I think
everybody gets lice.
Most kids get it.
You have to. It's a rite of passage.
It is.
It's a rite of passage. Needless to say, my mom really didn't want me playing with her anymore, which I couldn't understand that. But my mom later told me that she had called to try to talk to the mother, and the mother was so highly embarrassed that she just wasn't reachable. So then she ended up not being friends with me anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do with that because I didn't understand any of it. It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. What?
We were friends yesterday. Why can't we be friends
I don't understand.
Today?
So what? I got greasy hair. Big deal. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to wash it again tonight. Put the same crap in there. It's okay.
It hurts.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, it did matter.
Adults make decisions that children just don't understand.
No.
Yeah.
And that's why we lose our halos and our feet touch the ground real quick after we get here.
Yeah. Well, it's learning that there's a world outside of your home.
Yes.
And you had to engage the brain, get out of the heart to cope, to survive,
to learn
understand
what is out there, because I was a duck out of water.
Yeah.
A real big duck out of water.
Yep. Well, we'll come back on the next one. And we'll pick up from there. I wanted to bring up the story about how doing the right things sometimes comes at a price.
It does.
And we'll talk about that. I'm Rob Dalton.
I'm Veda McGregor.
This is Storytime with Frog, which Frog is?
Fully Rely on God.
Fully Rely on God. The story of Veda McGregor. For now, we'll take we'll call it quits for the day. We are going to come back with episode 3. We'll finish out some stories about the childhood and how meeting the rest of the world was eye-opening.
Boy, was it ever!
Yeah, from out of bliss, you understand the world is not as you thought. But we're growing into it, and we still are, even today at our age. We're still growing into.
Gosh, I hope
world.
so.
The world is, in a sense, the world is flat. I mean, we're all connected, and. It's scary out there, but we need to continue to learn from what you learned in grade school, and that's seek to understand.
Yes, always.
There's a reason that we're different.
Yes.
And we got to find more in common than
there is so much.
Focus on how we're different. But we'll get there. We'll get there, but it's a journey. It's a nice destination, but it's a journey. For now, this is Storytime with Frog. I'm Rob Dalton.
I'm Veda McGregor.
And we'll see you next time. Ribbit.
Ribbit.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in touch.
Bye.